Hello students, today just I will take your chemistry class. In class 10, first chapter is chemical reaction. So just I am going to explain this chapter. Chemical reaction. What is chemical reaction? This question can be given in many ways. Means we can say we can define chemical reaction in many ways. So one by one, just I am going to give the explanation. First is what is chemical reaction? A reaction in which a new substance is formed. We can say if in a reaction a or chemical property of our substance gets changed permanently, then it is called chemical reaction. To understand it, just we will take an example. For example, if we take Mg plus O2 means magnesium plus oxygen gives magnesium oxide. Here you are seeing when magnesium reacts with oxygen, then a white colored powder is formed, and this white colored powder is called magnesium oxide. Here we are seeing the chemical properties of magnesium gets permanently changed into magnesium oxide. Since the chemical property of magnesium gets changed, so it will be the example of chemical reaction. Second definition, a reaction in which change in color takes place will also be the example of chemical reaction. Means if in a reaction change in color takes place, then it is called chemical reaction. For this, just we will take an example. Suppose that just we have taken lead nitrate PbNO3 whole 2 aqueous plus potassium iodide gives PbI2 plus KNO3. Just here I have taken lead nitrate and potassium iodide. You should know both are colorless. Means here lead nitrate is taken in the form of colorless solution and potassium iodide is also present in the form of colorless solution. And when both are poured in a single container, then the color of a whole solution turns yellow. You should know when both reacts, then a yellow precipitate of lead iodide is formed, and due to the formation of yellow precipitate lead iodide, the color of whole solution changed yellow. Since here we are seeing change in color takes place, so this is the example of chemical reaction. Now yellow precipitate. Now we will take other definition. What is chemical reaction? A reaction in which change in temperature takes place is also called chemical reaction. And to understand this, just we will take another example. Suppose that we have taken calcium oxide, which is also known as quicklime, plus water gives calcium hydroxide CaOH whole 2 plus heat. This reaction is the example of chemical reaction. When quicklime is added into water, then heat is released here and calcium hydroxide is formed. Since in this reaction change in temperature takes place, so it is the example of chemical reaction. Now other definition just we have to take. The reaction in which evolution of gas takes place is also called chemical reaction, and to understand this just we have to take an example. Next example we have to take, suppose that just we have taken hydrochloric acid which will be present in the form of aqueous solution, and when we will put some zinc granules in it, then here zinc chloride will be formed, and besides it evolution of hydrogen gas will take place. Since here evolution of gas takes place, so it is also the example of chemical reaction. So just I have taken 4 examples for 4 different definitions of chemical reaction. Once again, just I am going to say what is chemical reaction or what are chemical reactions. Those reactions in which chemical properties of a substance gets changed permanently. Those reactions in which change in color takes place. Those reactions in which change in temperature takes place, and those reactions in which evolution of gas takes place are called chemical reactions. So just I have given some definitions of chemical reaction. Now we will see about chemical equation. What is chemical equation? Listen, just I have written some chemical equation. All are the example of chemical equation. All examples have been written in the form of by using symbols and formulae of the elements and compounds. Means chemical equation is a symbolic representation of a chemical reaction which is written by the use of symbols and formulae of elements and compounds which participate in that reaction. You are seeing here just I have taken here magnesium means Mg plus O2. Mg is the symbol of magnesium. O2 is the molecular form of oxygen, and when both react, then magnesium oxide means MgO is formed. MgO is the formula of magnesium oxide here. So this reaction in which magnesium reacts with oxygen and gives magnesium oxide is written on the board in the form of symbolic representation. All are in next equation you are seeing lead nitrate whose formula is PbNO3 whole 3 plus potassium iodide whose formula is Ki gives lead iodide PbI2 plus KNO3 in potassium nitrate. So in this equation we have used symbols and formulae of the elements and compounds which participate in that reaction. So all are the symbolic representation. So once again just I am going to define chemical equation. What is chemical equation? It is a symbolic representation of a chemical reaction which is written by using symbols and formulae of elements and compounds which participate in that reaction. Now just we have to see what is the importance of chemical equation. Means by using chemical equation we can identify various important things about a chemical reaction. So one by one we will see here. Just for this we will take an example. Suppose that just I am taking an example Mg plus O2 gives magnesium oxide. Here you are seeing that just I have written something in front of the symbol and formula. Means chemical equation tells us what is the physical state of reactants and products which participate in that reaction. You are seeing just I have written S just in front of the magnesium, G just in front of the oxygen, and S just in the front of the magnesium oxide. What does it mean? It means magnesium is present in solid state, oxygen is present in gaseous state, and magnesium oxide is also present in solid state. Means by chemical equation we can identify what is the physical state of the reactant and product which participate in that reaction. Second, by using chemical equation we can identify which chemical reaction is exothermic and which chemical reaction is endothermic. To understand this, just I have to take an example. Suppose that just I am taking C plus O2 gives CO2 plus heat. Means by saying a chemical equation we can identify a chemical reaction is exothermic or endothermic. How will you identify? Listen. If in a chemical equation heat is written with positive sign towards the product side of the chemical equation, then it will be the example of exothermic reaction. Because what is exothermic reaction? Those reactions in which heat is evolved. Now, how will you identify which chemical reaction is endothermic? By its chemical equation. For this, just I will take another example. Suppose formation of nitric, or we can say ammonia or nitric oxide also. Just I will write here N2 plus 3H2 gives 2NH3. Here I have to write heat towards the reactant side. Heat gives 2NH3. You are seeing, just I have written heat with positive sign towards the left hand side of the sign of arrow. Means if in a chemical equation heat is written with positive sign towards the left side or towards the reactant side of the chemical reaction, then it is the example of endothermic reaction. Because what is endothermic reaction? Those reactions in which heat is absorbed is called endothermic reaction. So I have given two examples for exothermic and endothermic reaction. So by using a chemical equation, we can identify where the chemical reaction is exothermic and where the chemical reaction is endothermic. Now, third importance. By using chemical equation, we can identify which reaction is conditional. Means in some reaction, condition play an important role. For example, you know, when calcium carbonate in CaCO3 is heated, then it breaks into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Here, heating process is a condition, because without heating, calcium carbonate cannot be broken into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. And for this, just I am going to write the equation on the board. Just I have written here. Suppose CaCO3, calcium carbonate, when it is heated, then it breaks into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. You are seeing here, just I have written a sign of delta or sign of heat just above the sign of arrow. Means if in a chemical equation anything is written just above or below the sign of arrow, it means we can say that chemical reaction is a conditional reaction, where condition is written just above or below the sign of arrow. Since in this reaction delta sign, means it is the sign of heat, is written just above the sign of the arrow, so it will be the example of conditional chemical reaction. Once again, just I am going to repeat it. What is the importance of chemical reaction? Chemical equation. By using chemical equation, we can identify the physical state of reactants or products. By using chemical equation, we can identify which chemical reaction is exothermic and which chemical reaction is endothermic. Next, by using chemical equation, we can identify where the conditional chemical reaction is present. But two things about which chemical equation do not or does not tell us. What are the things? First is time. Which is the time taken in the completion of a chemical reaction? We cannot identify, we cannot understand by using a chemical equation. And second, what is the mass? Means what is the amount of reactant and product which participate in that chemical reaction? We cannot identify, we cannot understand by using chemical equation. Okay, for today it is enough.